what an absolute privilege this video is going to be. Before I start, I'd like to say thank you so much to the guys at the Porsche Archive and the Porsche Museum, to Porsche GBPR and to the Porsche family itself for letting me anywhere near this car. This is a one-of-one concept car of huge historical significance. This is the Panamericana. Right, before we go anywhere, we'd better explain the absolute mouthful of a name. It actually derives from a famous race which delivered notable success for Porsche. I'm talking about the Carrera Panamericana, with Carrera of course being the Spanish word for race. This was a rally through Mexico which took place between 1950 and 1954. Stretching out for over 3,400 kilometres, the race was held to mark completion of the Mexican part of the Pan American Highway, essentially a network of roads linking the Americas, from Alaska at the top right down to Tierra del Fuego at the tip of Argentina's south. The Carrera Panamericana quickly gained notoriety, mainly for having little in the way of rules. It took place on the public road where there were hazards aplenty, and the winner was, quite simply, the first car over the line. 4-seat sedans completed in the first race in 1950, and from 1951 to 1954 the race was open to sports cars, and that's where Porsche came along. Our little German company posted stage wins from the outset, dominating by 1954, taking 6 of the top 7 places in the small sports car category, headed up by Hans Hermann, who took a class victory and 3rd place overall in a 550 Spider. The race was actually abandoned after that year due to safety concerns, but the Carrera Panamericana campaign of 1954 was considered Porsche's greatest international success of the time, before of course the company won Sicily's Targa Florio in 1956. That's the historical background, but what do we know of that funny looking jade green example standing in front of our eyes today? As I mentioned, it's a concept car. It's from 1989, which of course is the crossover from the G-body into the 964. But, as we'll go on to discover, there are many design cues that really forms the design thesis of Porsche and the 911 for the next 10 years, right up until the 996. It was given to Ferry Porsche, he who obviously created the Porsche company, as an 80th birthday present. Now it's a little bit awkward because rumour has it that Mr. Porsche wasn't actually that enamoured with it. It's fair to say the aesthetics are quite, how do we say, they're very different, aren't they, to what we kind of expect the Porsche design philosophy to be before or of course since. Where do we start? Might as well start with the roof, shall we? This unconventional roof design is split into 3 sections. The material section above the front seats, which is merely zipped in place all the way around, 2 body-coloured plastic sections, which simply lift out thereafter, and a perspex rear screen which cranes back and then also lifts out. Those plastic sections sitting under the material top give a double bubble appearance, a much subtler rendition of which we'll see on the 997 Sport Classic some 21 years later. Their job on the Panamericana though was functional rather than aesthetical, as we'll discover later on. The elaborate roof of this concept car actually provided the inspiration for Porsche designing a future roadster in the 986 Boxster. But, as its 6-syllabled name of this study suggests, this wasn't a car built for boulevard cruising. Quite the opposite, in fact. The concept of it is all about off-road. You can see that designer Harm Lagai, he who obviously oversaw 996 production with Pinky Lie about 10 years later on, cut away the arches front and rear on this. Now the whole point of that is to enable long travel suspension, knobbly tyres. This was really, as an off-road car, Porsche's first SUV. The technical aspects of this off-road project actually came via Dr. Ulrich Bez, head of development at Porsche at the time, and who would later be known as the father of the 993. It was Harm Lagai at Style Porsche who commissioned the project and then asked his design team to submit drafts of this 911 SUV, with the realised draft belonging to Stephen Merket. Interestingly, he would later run 2 new vehicle projects at Porsche outside of the 911 line. If you haven't yet guessed, they were the Cayenne and the Panamera. The Panamericana serves as early evidence of Porsche's interest into diversifying into other markets, but as you're about to see, its appearance resonates more clearly with the 911's lineage. There are so many little design cues on this car. Don't forget it's a 1989 car that basically represent Porsche's kind of design thesis, probably for the next 10 years. We start at the front. There is a distinct 993 look about the headlights and also this kind of front bit here. We come back down, cut mirrors. Obviously these would make an appearance on the 964 release shortly. This roofline should be, to enthusiasts, resplendent of the 993 Targa of 1995. So this is fully 6 years before that 993 Targa came out. Come to the back. These are really cool centre lock wheels, by the way, unique design. And I'm hoping the camera's going to pick up from there. We've got the Porsche crest etched into the tyres. A little bit different, isn't it? The back of the car, obviously, engine. It might be, again, a giveaway to you. You can see there's just one exhaust exit there rather than the two that you'd usually get on a 993 era car. This is powered by a 250 horsepower flat six from the 964 Carrera 4. Yes, the sloping profile of those rear lights and central reflector bar might provide connotations of the future 993 generation, but the Panamericana concept was created from a 964 Carrera 4 Cabriolet base car, albeit with a revised body made from carbon fibre. We've gone over some exterior details and the design influences that this car would be the grandfather of. What's in here? Well, Larry marble interior. Not to everybody's taste, is it? But again, it's a concept car. It's built to stand out. It's built to turn heads. It certainly does that. Ahead of me, the dials resplendent of the 964, including the heater system, which is a great upgrade, as we know from the G-Series cars. The shifter with the G64 gearbox. Obviously, as we know, it's a 964 Carrera 4 chassis layout and the 250 horsepower flat six in the back. This centre console, all very 964-esque. We know it's four-wheel drive, as we can see here. It's got the variable four-wheel drive system from the 964. I also see now why I'm sitting here as to why they have that kind of double bubble in the roofline, because I mean, I'm not the tallest person known to man, but my head is cutting it very fine with this roofline. So that will give a good extra few inches clearance. The seats though, they are, well, completely one-off, as you'd expect from a concept car. They are unseen in any 911 before or since. They're really comfortable, it has to be said. Not restrictive in any way, nice and comfortable, but a good hold as well. I cannot believe I'm sitting in here. What a privilege. The whole idea for the study was to simply design a modern Carrera Panamericana compatible vehicle, yet its historical significance for Porsche turned out to be huge. Aside from the notoriety garnered from its appearance, Ferry Porsche's 80th birthday present would shape not just the 911's evolution up to the turn of the millennium, but wider company direction thereafter. Still owned by the Porsche family today, it's a privilege to be granted permission to tell you its story, long after its deserved retirement from the public eye.